Narayana namaskritya Narayana narottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nasta Paryesvabhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistike Vede Ramani Chaiva Purane Bharate Tata Hado Adyam Chamade Cha Hari Savatagayati Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangu Lankariti Grihi Yakripataham Vande Sri Guru Dinatarine Paramananda Madhava Dhamma Prajito Katabota Paramoni Masham Satan Vedan Vastavam Atavastu Shivadon Tabatayo Molana Shima Bhagavati Mahamuni Ketenki Vai Para Ishwara Sadhuridi Abarudyati Trak Tivita Kishanam Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 18, text 13 and 14, the chapter of Lord Balaram slays the demon Pralamba. Basically, the killing of Pralambasura. So this is a very interesting chapter because it's described Lord Krishna's playful activities in the forest of Vrindavan along with his cowherd boyfriends. So today's text is, what's on the board? 13's on the board, right? Huh? 13 on the board, okay. So we read together, kvacin nityatsu chanyesu gayakau badakau swayam sasansatu maharaja sadhu sadhu iti badino kvacin nityatsu chanyesu gayakau badakau swayam sasansatu maharaja sadhu sadhu iti badino kvacin nityatsu chanyesu gayakau badakau swayam sasansatu maharaja sadhu sadhu iti badino kvacin nityatsu chanyesu gayakau badakau swayam sasansatu maharaja sadhu sadhu iti badino. Alright, kvacin, actually kvacit, sometimes nityatsu, while they were dancing, cha and Yesu, others, Gayakau, the two of them, Krishna and Balaram, singing. Badakau, both playing musical instruments, Swayam, themselves, Sasamsatu, they praised Maharaja, O great king, Sadhu Sadhu iti. Very good, very good. Bhadino speaking. Translation by Srila Prabhupada's disciples. While the other boys were dancing, O king, Krishna and Balaram would sometimes accompany them with song and instrumental music. And sometimes the two lords would praise the boys, saying, very good, very good. So text number 14. Kvacid bilvaiḥ, kvacid kumbhaiḥ, kvacāmalaka-muṣṭibhiḥ, aspṛśya-netra-bandhādyaiḥ, kvacin mṛga-khagehayā. Translation and purport. Sometimes the cowherd boys would play with bilva or kumbha fruits, and sometimes with handfuls of amalaka fruits. At other times, they would play the games of trying to touch one another or of trying to identify somebody. Why one is blindfolded, and sometimes they will imitate deer, actually animals and birds. It says here, mṛga actually means deer. The translation said animals. So, purport. Srila Sanatana Goswami explains that the word ādyaiḥ by other such spots indicates such games as chasing one another and building bridges. Another pastime will occur at noon while Lord Krishna was taking rest. Nearby, the young cowherd girls will be passing by, singing, and Krishna's boyfriends will pretend to inquire from them about the price of milk. Then the boys will steal yogurt and other items from them and run away. Krishna, Balaram, and their friends will also play games in which they will cross the river in boats. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur further explains that the boys will play with fruits by throwing a few in the air and then throwing others to try to hit them. The word netra-bandha indicates a game in which one boy will approach a blindfolded boy from behind and place his palm over the blindfolded boy's eyes. Then, simply by the feel of his palms, the blindfolded boy will have to guess who the other boy was. In all such games, the boys put up stakes for the winner, such as flutes or walking sticks. Sometimes the boys will imitate the various fighting methods of the forest animals, and at other times they will chirp like birds. Gurave Gurachandaya, Rajikayatadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya, Tabhaktaru Namo Namaha, Agyana Timendasya Ganagana Salakaya, Charsusumitayena Tasma, Sri Gurave Namaha, Namamo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Vistaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti-yoga Swami Namine, Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine, Nivise Srinivadi Pashta Distarine, Vanchakapa Turubhyascha Kripa Srindi Bevacha, Patitanam Pavanade Bhyo Vaishnava Bhyo Namo Namaha, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasati Go Bhakta-vrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Kvacin nityatsu chanyesu kaya kao bhada kao swayam sasansa tu maharaja sadhu sadhu iti bhadino. So today is also the disappearance day of Srila Abhiram Thakur, who was one of the associates of Lord Nityananda. And Srila Abhiram Thakur was also an incarnation of Sridham. And Sridham was one of the main cowherd boys that Krishna would go to the forest, just as we are describing here today. So before the end of the class, I've tried to say something about Abhiram Thakur. So today's text, starting from text 10, whereby Srila Sukadeva Goswami said, while the other boys were dancing, O king, Krishna and Balaram would sometimes accompany them with song and instrumental music, and sometimes the two lords would praise the boys, saying, very good, very good. There's actually a small purport by Srila Sanatana Goswami to this text number 10, because in this text here, Sanatana Goswami had addressed, Sukadeva Goswami has addressed Parikshit Maharaj, calling him that a great king, because Parikshit Maharaj, is a great devotee of the Lord. And by the way, I'd like to thank the senior devotees for being here this morning. By your mercy, I can be able to say something. So thank you for visiting. Hare Krishna. So the Maharaj Parikshit was a very dear devotee of the Lord, and he was a fit recipient to hear the message of Bhagavatam. Actually, because Krishna wanted to incarnate himself in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam, so therefore Parikshit Maharaj was designated to be the hearer of Srimad Bhagavatam. Because the topic of Bhagavatam is such a great topic, because it deals with the activities of the Supreme Lord, and his activities is Leelas when he was here 5,000 years ago, and only pure devotees can hear it. Only pure devotees can appreciate such activities. Non-devotees cannot appreciate. Non-devotees cannot appreciate the Leela or the activities of the Supreme Lord. Just like, so many so-called scholars, philosophers, they try to describe Lord Krishna incarnation, or most of the time they just say that, oh, Krishna is just an historical personality. That's so, because when they hear about the Kurukshetra war, so many Krishna speaking Bhagavad-Gitas, or actually they can never understand the lost pastimes of Vrindavan, so they don't even talk about that. So usually they say Krishna is just an historical personality. But we know that when you talk of an historical person will always have some kind of a fault. Because when you describe an historical person, then you have to also describe some of their nature where they are like failing, which may not be so palatable. Some kind of fault will always be there. But Krishna is not an historical personality. Krishna is the supreme personality of God, as Sri Bhagavan, and is all perfect in all circumstances. When Krishna came, it's all perfect. Everything he did was so perfect. He performed activities for the pleasure of his devotees. And his devotees, they have such a great relishment when they hear these activities. So Sukadeva Goswami was talking to Parishad Maharaj, oh my dear king, these are the activities of Lord Sri Krishna. His activities in Vrindavan. Kvacid, nityasu, chanyesu, gayako, vadako, swayam. Kvacid, sometimes, Krishna will, will be in the forest with his friends, and why these friends, they'll be dancing, Krishna and Balaram, they will be singing. Gaya means to sing, will be singing, play musical instrument, singing, and the friends, they'll be dancing and observing the dancing activities of the friends. So Krishna and Balaram will say, we praise them, say, oh, wonderful, wonderful, how great this is, sadhu, sadhu. So Krishna will appreciate the dancing of his friends. This is the activities of the Supreme Lord. The great acharyas, they have described Lord Krishna's eternal activities, which are called Nitya Lila, Krishna's eternal activities. The great devotees, the great acharyas, they have described this in their writing, especially Srila Vishnu Chakravarti, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, Srila Kavi Kanapu. So in their writings, they've expanded whatever is in the Bhagavatam, because Bhagavatam is the basis of all the Lord's activities. And they've simply expanded those descriptions that are in the Bhagavatam to further elaborate on the Lord's playful activities. Now, when we say lila, lila means something that is done out of joy, lila. So Krishna's activity is not born out of karma, because whatever we are doing now is not out of compulsion, it's out of karma. But Krishna's activity is not done out of karma, it's lila, it's pastimes. He does it out of his own sweet will, and by doing this, by performing all these activities, not only does he get so much joy, so much bliss out of it, but also his devotees, they also relish so much joy. So therefore, the Lord's activities are described to be Nitya Lila, eternal activities. And that's why when you read of these descriptions, they're always using a present tense, Vatmanam. It's not past tense. It's always present, because the Lord's activities is always present, it's ever present. Nitya Lila. Now, just like Srila Prabhupada mentioned in the Nectar of Instruction, in the text number, I was commenting on the Nectar of Instruction, text number 10, and in that, Srila Prabhupada described that how Lord Krishna has eightfold daily activities, which is called Astaka-lila. Eightfold activities, Astaka-lila. And these eightfold activities begin from the early morning. Early morning means from 3:30 a.m. and that goes till nighttime. Eightfold activities. So these eightfold activities, these are Nitya Lila, and this goes on every day. Normally, the acharyas, they elaborated on these eightfold activities, and devotees, they listen to them, and this provides the basis for devotees' smaranam, remembrance. Because how do we stay Krishna conscious? We stay Krishna conscious by always remembering the Lord's affairs, the Lord's activities. Now, what is the nourishment of that remembrance of the Lord's activities? The nourishment is hearing and chanting, Shravana Kirtana. Shravana Kirtana will always be there. Just like sometimes you see River Ganges is always flowing from the Himalaya. River Ganges flows from the Himalayas and goes into the ocean. Goes to into the ocean, in West Bengal. But River Ganges never stops flowing. It's always flowing. It's ever flowing. So similarly, our hearing and chanting will never stop. It will never stop. Because if you want to be absorbed in the Lord's activities, in the Lord's affairs, is to always absorb ourselves in hearing and chanting. Just like we are initiated into the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, which is our eternal activities, to always hearing. And then we also hear the scriptures, like Srimad Bhagavatam or Srimad Bhagavad-Gita. These are continuous activities of devotees. And then when we do the chanting, and then we can also do when we do the hearing, the chanting, then there's also the hearing. We hear, and then we chant, and that gives that nourish our remembrance of the Lord's and His activities. So this verse saying, this 13, and also the text 14, actually text 14, it actually goes till text number 16. There are 3 verses whereby Sukadeva Goswami is describing how Lord Krishna and his friends, they are in the forest and they are playing with fruits, with bell fruit, kumbha fruit, amalaki fruit. They were playing with them. Just say it's a kvacid, bilvaiḥ, kumbhaiḥ, kvacāmalaka-muṣṭibhiḥ, aspṛśya-netra-bandhādyaiḥ, kvacin, mṛga-khagehayā. Sometimes the cowherd boys will play with bilva. Bilva means bear fruit, or kumbha fruits, and sometimes with handfuls of amalaki fruits. At other times, they will play the games of trying to touch one another. Aspṛśya, they go around and try to touch each other. There's so many friends, of course, of Krishna. And sometimes they will blindfold one another, and the other person will come try to touch the person who's been blindfolded, try to clap the other person's eye. And the person who is blindfolded, if he's able to know the other boy that is touching him, then he will win something. He will get some award. Now, these pastimes of Krishna and his friend being in the forest, this is known pastimes, Madhyan Leela. Yeah, as I said earlier, there are 8-fold daily activities of Lord Krishna. They start from Nishanta Leela. Nishanta means end of night. The non-activities is called Madhyan Leela. This is when Krishna is in the forest along with his friends, and they have their cows with them. So Srila Sanatana Goswami, actually, because the purport we are reading also, it reference Srila Sanatana Goswami's purport to this text. So Srila Sanatana Goswami said, because of the word ādyaiḥ means etc., the following is included: playing hide and seek, building bridges, as well as waggers, playing disc, rooster fights. So they are playing with each other. They are, playing hide and seek. They're throwing balls with amalaki fruit. They say, okay, catch this. They throw the ball so that another person can also catch it. So this is at midday. And also, there's also reference at midday, at the time of the Lord's rest. The amusement include obstructing the path of the cowherd girls, the gopis, who were singing while going not too far with the pretense of selling dairy goods, stealing their yogurts and other dairy goods, crossing with a boat, and so forth. Other games well known in the world should be understood. So, within these pastimes of Krishna playing with his friends are also the activities whereby there's also other lila, whereby Krishna has a playful activities with the cowherd girls or the gopis. Actually, this is described in Dhanakeli Kumade by Srila Rupa Goswami. And in these descriptions, it mentioned how Lord Krishna, he became the tax collector. He became a tax man. A very, very beautiful description of how Krishna became a tax man. Because one time when a rishi, his name is Babuya Rishi, he wanted to perform some sacrifice. He wanted to perform some sacrifice. At that time, he was in Vrindavan. So, Purnamashi told Krishna that, look, the gopis, they are going to Govindakund and they are carrying yogurts, ghee, butter with them on their head. You should go and meet with them and try to collect tax from them. Actually, Purnamasi, she wanted to, relish some specific lila, some specific pastimes. So, then this is in a Dangati. If you go over there, there's a Dangati, which is not far from our ISKCON Govardhan palace. This is the spot, Dangati, just behind the Manashi Ganga. So as the gopis they were going, and Krishna and his friends, so he met the gopi. He said that, look, all of you are going with all the pot of ghee and butter on your head. Before you go, you have to pay tax. Because I am the representative of the emperor here, so it is my duty to collect tax from you. So there was very, very nice conversation which took place. And this conversation was nicely described by Srila Rupa Goswami, in this book. And by hearing this conversation, it became like a very soothing to the ears, soothing balm to the ear, by hearing these conversations. Actually, and another Papa by Srila Prabhupada, it was mentioning that when we hear the pastime of Lord Krishna and his loving devotees, the gopis and gopas of Vrindavan, what does the hearing of such pastime, what effect did they give? It gives the effect of completely giving a calm, a soothing atmosphere from the agitation of this material world. Because this material world is full of so many, trouble. Just like we sing that, it's always on fire, material world is always on fire. So how do you cool, how do you douse the fiery nature of this material world? By hearing the Lord's activities from the pure devotees of Krishna, by hearing them, Krishna Lila, from the pure devotees of Krishna. And then the more we hear them, the more everything we become very pacified. We become very pacified. So which means the agitation of material nature, of this material world, will no longer be there. And when the mind is cool, is calm, then devotional service to Krishna is possible. We're able to render devotional service to the Lord. And these devotional activities, as I said, is eternal activities. So Srila Sanatana Goswami said, by various imitations, by assuming many astonishing poses which produce laughter, they had fun with all the games, which are either well-known among people or existing in the three worlds. So Lord Krishna and his friends, they were playing so many games in the forest. And some of those games, they were well known here in this world. And some of those games, they were known only in the higher planets. Which means not just what is well known here, but what is also well known in the higher planets. So they are playing all those games together. And those games, they present very astonishing feeling, just because by hearing them, by hearing these activities, one become simply astonished. Just like in the Bhagavad-Gita, Sanatana Goswami was describing that when Krishna plays his flute, in the forest, all the demigods like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, they become very confused because it's a sound which they never hear before. I mean, these are not ordinary personality, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma. These are not ordinary person. But when they hear the flute of Lord Krishna in the forest, and Krishna vibrates his flute, they become confused. They become astonished. So, Vane, so in Vrindavan, he said, Vane Kananesu. So because Krishna and his friend, they are going in the forest of Vrindavan, and not just in Vrindavan, of course, in other forests also, in the, because there are so many forests here. There's not just Vrindavan, there are 12 forests. So their playful activity, their pastime, is all go through all the 12 forests of Vrindavan. So in the Harivamsa, there's a citation in the Harivamsa that's describing this. Harivamsa is it's like a second Mahabharata, Harivamsa Purana. So in a section they are mentioned here, immediately after the killing of Dhnuka, the two sons of Vasudev left Talavan and entered Bhagavad-Gita while grazing the cows, which had grown in number. They were resplendent and had become fully grown because of grass aplenty, while gazing at the forest, while playing, while singing, while plucking fruits on trees, and while calling the cows and the calves by name, with ropes used for binding cows attached to their shoulders. Those two, which means the killers of enemies, with listed Krishna and Balaram, they had splendid characteristics. Their chest had a multitude of garlands. They were like two young horned bulls. Their complexions resembled a powder of gold and a powder of ointment. Their respective garments were alike. They were fair and dark, like a white cloud and a blackish cloud, connected by a rainbow, Indra's weapon. Both of them wore a forestier attire on the paths in the woods, while making captivating hair ornaments with flowers and tips of kusa grass. So from Harivamsa, it's describing these playful activities of Lord Sri Krishna in the forest of Vrindavan, along with their friends. So, and as mentioned before, these activities, the Lord, these are nitya lila, these are eternal activities. And of course, the Lord's activities are described, are divided into two. One is nitya lila, eternal activities, and then there is occasional lila, nightmika lila. So the nightmika is occasional activities, so which means not every activities are like eternal, just like the activities of killing the demons. These are just occasional only, occasional, whereas the Lord's activities are those eightfold eternal activities by which the Lord performs every day. And of course, as described, that these activities, they're like tsunami, because they're like ocean by which the more these activities are performed, the more it becomes just erupted, just like an ocean. It erupts again and again and again and again. So, and then of course, these activities are the devotees' meditation. So, because the time is almost over, so I'm just saying something a little bit about Abhiram Thakur, because today is his disappearance day. So, Abhiram Thakur was one of Lord Nityananda's associates. When Lord Chaitanya Prabhu, when he told Nityananda Prabhu to go to Bengal and go and preach, so the Lord, he sent 12 of his 12 devotees along with Nityananda Prabhu to go and preach in Bengal. And this one of these persons was Abhiram Thakur. So Abhiram Thakur, he was an incarnation of Sridham, because all the Lord's eternal associates who were there with Lord Krishna and Balaram, they also, when Chaitanya Prabhu came along with Nityananda, so they also came, all the various cowherd boys, they also came along to take part in pastimes of Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya Prabhu. So Abhiram Thakur, so today's been his disappearance here. Of course, we hear about the disappearance and also the appearance days of great devotees, great personalities. By hearing about them, by hearing this appearance, disappearance, by hearing about their characteristics, then this helps us a lot in making progress in the devotional service of the Lord. Because hearing, describing the activities of great devotees, it becomes a great stimulant for making great progress in the devotional service of the Lord. So, there was a time when Srinivasa Acharya, that time he was a young boy. So Srinivasa Acharya, he was sent to go meet Abhiram Thakur. Because Abhiram is such a great dear devotee of the Lord. His place of birth is near Krishnanagar, which is not far from Mayapur. So Abhiram Thakur, he had a whip. He had one whip. The whip, and that whip, if he beats anyone with that whip, that person will attain love of God. He got this whip. So which means if he becomes, satisfied with someone, so that person will, will develop, love for God, love for Krishna. So one time, Srinivas, he went to Abhiram Thakur. He wanted to read the Srimad Bhagavatam, because Abhiram, he had a Bhagavatam. So, and Srinivas went to him that he wanted to read Bhagavatam. He wanted to read his Bhagavatam, but when he obtained the Bhagavatam, he looked inside. He found that the Bhagavatam is difficult to read, because when Abhiram, whenever he read Bhagavatam, so much tears will be coming out of his eye, so much tears. So the Bhagavatam has become completely smudged, unable to read, because it's all completely, the ink just completely smudged over. So he was unable, Srinivas was unable to read, and Abhiram told him that he should go to Gadara, because Gadara also has a Bhagavatam. So Srinivas, he went to Gadara Pandit in Puri to try to read his Bhagavatam. But when he picked up his Gadara Pandit Bhagavatam, also the same thing. It's also he was unable to read, because when read Bhagavatam, so much tears coming from the eyes, so much tears coming. unable to read. So Srinivas, he went back, Srinivas, not Srinivas. So he went back to Abhiram Thakur. And Abhiram Thakur, when he saw him, Abhiram Thakur was very, very, happy with him. So he took his whip and then was whipping him. Whipped him 1 time, 2 times, and as he was about to hit him the 3rd time, Malini was the wife of Abhiram Thakur. He said, this just is, stop whipping him. He's just a small boy. How much can he take? How much love of God can he take? Because by whipping him with this stick, he already blessed him with love of Krishna. How much can he take? So, so she said that, so she stopped she stopped her husband from whipping the small Srinivas. And then, of course, both Abhiram and Srinivas, they gave their blessing, their mercy to Srinivas Acharya. As they said that only by the mercy of the great devotees can we attain Krishna. We see every morning, Yasha Prasada, Bhagavad Prasada, Yasha Prasada, Nagati Kutopi, that without the mercy of, only by the mercy of great devotees can we attain love of Krishna, can we attain the ultimate goal of life, and without whose mercy, love of God is impossible. Yes, aspṛśya Nagati Kutopi, which means we cannot attain the ultimate goal of life, which is development of love of God. Without the mercy of great devotees, we cannot attain this goal. So therefore, the mercy of great devotees is what will always be aspired for. There's just no other way. And of course, we aspire for their mercy, and at the same time, we have to be serious in the process of devotional service that we have been given. It's not that we have to slacken our practice and simply say that, I'm only going to depend only on the mercy of great devotee. Both have to go side by side. The process of bhakti has to go on, which is Shravan, Kirtana, Smara, Parat, it has to go on, and at the same time, we constantly aspire for the great mercy of the great devotees, aspire for their mercy. And in this way, we can attain success in devotional life, which is to attain the love of God, the attainment, to develop Krishna Rati, the ultimate attraction to Lord Sri Krishna. So, if there is any question or comment, you can please go ahead.
So, the 2 living entities of interest, as in netra-bandhas, those are conditioned. When Krishna was here and taking lunch with all his cowherd boys, and Brahma came back and saw unlimited cowherd boys. So are all the associates with Krishna, like eternal Nitya-Siddha, that some also became perfect in their practice of devotional service and were allowed to enter that Leela. So the Nitya-Siddha and Nitya-Bandha become like one, and it's like there's no real difference between the two, right?
Well, as described by the Acharyas, that the eternal associate of Krishna, those eternal devotees, they're always there with the Lord. And those who attain perfection, it's not that they will enter the Leela themselves. Those who attain perfection, they have to take birth in a planet where Lord Krishna is performing his pastimes. And they have to take birth in the womb of the devotees. And then by taking birth in the womb of the devotees, like the womb of the gopis, then they will get a qualification to be in a position to be in a service attitude of being there. But just like, for example, the Lord danced with the gopis. It's not that those who have attained perfection, they also be done. No. They have to take birth in the womb of a devotee, those pure nature seeders. So it's those pure nature seeders who will give them the qualification to be able to take part in the Lord's eternal, eternal pastimes. And of course, it's kind of a little bit complicated. Maybe you know better. I'm sure you know better than me. So, better than me. So, but it's like they have to be born in the womb of a devotee first. Is it? They have to take part in the womb of the devotees. Then they can be in a position to, to experience the Leela. Maybe Mother Devi Shakti can say something about that. Okay. Another microphone over there. Okay.
Thank you for the very nice class. I just wanted to say something that Bhagavad-Gita Brahma said to me once, that by giving birth in the womb of a devotee, where Krishna is next giving birth, and then by assisting the gopis and the gopas, then you will go back to the spiritual world.
Yeah, that's what I said. We have to take birth in the womb of those perfect devotees, those eternal associates. In one of those house in Braj, we take birth there, then we can be in a position. We can be that. Just like it was mentioned that when Krishna was playing his flute in the middle of the forest at night time, all the gopis, they run to the forest, but there are those gopis who are prevented from going to the forest. Now, these are the gopis who are like the Suticharis and all this, who have played to Lord Ramachandra to be part of the Lord's, eternal pastimes, gopis. So they were prevented from going, and then by meditating, they give up their body, and then they take birth in the womb of the, Vrijbasis and all that. So that's the way it's explained. That yes, as I say, without the mercy of devotees, we cannot attain the ultimate goal of life. So only by their mercy can we attain that.
Thank you, Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Now we know what Prabhupada always taught us, imitate, we can only go so deep into philosophically understanding the higher levels, so it's better to stick to we're not the body, we're spirit, soul, and chanting.
Yeah, because this thing comes as great mercy, It's not something that we can take cheaply. It's not something. That's why Srila Bhaktivedanta, you read this book, it talks more philosophy, more in terms of how we should not try to enjoy Krishna. Some of these higher topics is something is reserved. Once Srila Bhaktivedanta once asked Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur if he can publish the Govinda Lilamrita, if he can publish it. Govinda Lilamrita is the book that describes Lord Krishna's eightfold daily activities. So then Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, print only 2 copies. One for you and one for the library, but not for everyone else. Because it's not that cheap thing to try to get into Govinda Lilamrita, all these esoteric books,
Early on, Srila Prabhupada printed teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and it goes very elaborately into the spiritual world, like Goloka, Vrindavan, different avatars, conditioned souls. It's amazing that even though from the very beginning, all the complexities of spiritual understanding given by Prabhupada, teachings of Lord
Yeah. Even in 1967, Srila Prabhupada was giving lectures on Chitra. He was describing these teachings of Sanatana Goswami to Sanatana Iwa, but he was talking to, just and of course, as you can see, I'm sure Prabhu knows that. Then after the years after that, then Srila Prabhupada stopped giving lectures on those books. After 68, 69, Srila Prabhupada stopped giving lectures on those books. Because qualification is not there. Require qualification. Okay. Another points? Another comments? Like to say something, Prabhu? Okay. Oh. Okay, thank you very much for listening. Grantras Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.